good morning. Welcome, everyone, to our new Adjuster podcast. I'm Hannah, and I'm sitting here with William and Derrick, who are both adjusters here at CNC. So a little bit about you. What are you currently working right now?
Well, right now I'm working here in an F4 role. I'm just kind of holding over for the rest of the year. But before I was doing this, I was actually working out in the field doing property adjustment. This was my first deployment, of course, out in Baton Rouge working Hurricane Ida.
Exciting.
Yeah, right now I'm working auto claims at home. It's been definitely a transition from property adjusting outside, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Right. So you were doing property, and then you transitioned to auto once you were done with the field?
Yep, that's right.
So how did y'all get into adjusting?
You want to take one? Me go
All
first?
right, I'll go ahead and I'll go first. I was actually just kind of thrown into it. It happened to me by chance. I was working a job before, I was doing insurance adjusting, but then Hurricane Laura hit. I think it was August 28th, something like that. And I literally left from my previous job and hopped right over into the adjusting business. I had done no research, didn't really know what I was getting into. I was coming in as something called a ladder assist. And basically what that is just a person that, has a ladder, and they go out and they assist the adjuster. For example, let's say that the adjuster doesn't have a ladder that's large enough to reach the top of a roof. Or let's say that the roof is too steep. Somebody has to go out there with that rope and harness and get on there and do the inspection for the adjuster, and that's what I did. Again, I did not know what I was getting myself into, but I went out there, and that was my introduction to adjusting.
Did you know that you liked heights before that?
It was one of those things. It didn't matter if I liked heights or not. So I needed a job.
Hey, that's the motivating factor, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
When you say by chance, was it just someone was like, "Hey, I got this opportunity available for you"?
Yeah. So I do have an uncle that does this, and he was the one who was just like, "Hey, if you want to come over and do this, you can." And that's what that was. It was literally just, if you want to come and do this, come on. And I was in it. That's
cool. Mine happened a little bit different. So I started out in law enforcement, and a buddy of mine kind of, through a friend of his, he learned about it, and he left the department and went and did it. And he was like, "Man, look, this is how much money I'm making." I said, "Oh man, I want to make that much." And so that's kind of how I got introduced to it, and took that leap. And Hurricane Ida gave me that opportunity to work my first storm.
Okay, so both fairly new adjusters.
Yeah,
doing it for not quite a year.
Man, I wouldn't even say 6 months, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, as far as actual adjusting, I just started. I got my license in May of 2021.
Yeah. Same deal.
And never looked back.
Never. Nope. Not going back.
No.
Back?
Can't go
That's
back. Can't go back.
Okay, so since you've both worked the field, is there anything going into that, or since you've completed your first deployment, in hindsight, that you wish you would have known before your first deployment?
Something, I'll go first. Okay, so I bought a lot of stuff. I was on YouTube watching a bunch of videos, all in the Facebook chats for new adjusters and everything, trying to figure out, what do I need? Because I don't want to go out there and not be prepared, right? I bought a lot of stuff, and I bought a lot of food, just spent way too much money too soon, basically. So I probably spent upwards of $500 or $600 just in prep stuff, and then
eagerness.
Eagerness, and then I didn't get my first deployment until months later.
Oh, so you're saying you did that before you got a deployment?
Before I even got a deployment, because something, I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and so I was like, all right, I'm all in. Yeah, right. I'm leaving my job. I'm all in. This is what I want to do. And so, I kind of made some mistakes. So don't do what I did, new people. So
right, kind of wait to get the deployment or closer to it.
Wait till storm season. Don't go buy a bunch of equipment in May, and storm season is in August, and then storm season may be deferred until September, and you may.
All right.
So wait till storm season.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about you? Did anything in hindsight you wish you would have known before your first deployment?
Well, I kind of knew what to expect. I just kind of leaned on the fact that I had somebody who knew what they were doing, and they just kind of told me, hey, this is how it may potentially go. So what I did was I really did just kind of wait until we got closer to, the actual deployment that we had, before I actually,
So you kind of like leaned on your resources that
Yeah.
have been in the business to kind of what to
yeah.
expect, whereas you were brand new coming into it with no
idea.
assistance, and you were just like gung-ho, let's do this.
Hannah, I didn't even know that there was not going to be any hotels available. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not even. So, you think about adjustments like, oh man, yeah, we're just going to go down and, get deployed wherever and work. But it's like, okay, what about housing? Yeah. Where am I going to stay when FEMA buys up all the hotels and, and there's no one to live?
Displaced, and I think it was from Beaumont all the way over to maybe Pensacola, Florida. Most of the hotels were booked.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, something that I did was, I relied on the fact, okay, well, I've got buddies, from this stretch, all the way from, Beaumont to Florida. So it's just like, all right, where am I going to be going? I'm going to be going to Baton Rouge. Okay. Who do I know in Baton Rouge? Called them up. I would stay at their place, and that's how I managed when it came to stuff like that.
Because I would imagine a lot of adjusters don't take into account that people are not in their homes; they're going to be staying somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you do that when you get called for deployment? Go here on this date. Yeah. So when you're looking for somewhere to stay, and you're calling up, hey, I need a room. How long do you know how to stay for? Or it's
up in the air.
Do you look for your claims have been assigned, so find something within that area.
Yeah.
Because if you're in an area that's been hard hit, are they even going to have anywhere? So how do you handle?
Exactly.
Oh, I know you said you look for resources that you may have.
Yeah,
so how do you?
I was just going to say, that's what you've got to do. You've got to lean on your resources.
Yeah.
If you've got those friends and got those connections, make sure that you use them. And I mean, I'm not saying, use people, but at the same time, just looking at the kind of work that you're doing, you have to realize, okay, well, I might have to do something like this.
Right.
So, keep those connections, keep those contacts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then look, be okay with having to drive an hour plus.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're staying an hour and a half away, right? And if that's unusual for you as far as a work commute, get used to it, because that's what it's going to be.
It'll all be worth it in the end, though. It'll all be worth it in the end. I mean, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then, when you get paid on Friday, it's just like, oh, okay, well.
Oh, man, yeah, I can make it. I can do this.
Okay, so say I'm brand new, and I've talked to people who are an adjuster. I've kind of learned about it, but not really. What's the first step if I want to do it? If I'm like, you know what, this sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
I want to get into this field. What's the first step you would advise someone who had no knowledge of this?
Yeah.
What would you tell them to do first?
I would tell them, do your research. Do your research. Do your research. Make sure that this is something that you can see yourself doing at least 2+ years, because your first year is going to be a huge learning curve. You may only get one deployment that first year. So look at it in terms of longevity. How long can I do this type of work? And while you're doing your research, you see it's kind of a, it's a nomadic kind of lifestyle where you're on the road all the time and you're away from home and everything. So make sure that that's something that you're okay with. And then once you kind of mold that over, then you jump into, okay, what kind of education do I need? Starting out, you got to have your home state license, adjuster's license. And so, you want to work on getting that, getting that first. And then you definitely want to work on getting states that's going to be, hit by, natural disasters like hurricanes and everything. So definitely work on getting your home state first, and then the Gulf states, Texas, Louisiana, then up the East Coast type deal, Florida.
Hurricane-prone areas.
Hurricane-prone areas, yeah. It doesn't make any sense to get licenses in middle America where, there are some tornadoes and maybe hail, but you're going to probably get your first big break on a hurricane rather than a hail claim, yeah.
No doubt.
And so with the home state license, is that something that I can get online, or do I have to go to a class for?
Yeah, you definitely want to get online and look that up. I know if you're in Alabama, Alabama is a testing state, so there's some literature that you can use to read on and so you can pass your test and everything. And there's also different sites like Adjuster Pro and things like that that you can go on and they'll help you get your home state license and everything. Right.
And you say, start getting additional licenses because of it. Essentially, you're investing in yourself. Right. Because it's an investment.
Yeah.
And the more licenses you have, the more areas you're able to work. So you're just, making your brand bigger,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Making yourself more marketable.
Absolutely.
Or more deployable, I should say.
Yeah, and that's that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just allowing you to say to be able to walk into a CNC and say, hey, I want to be on your roster. But after that, you've got to invest in training too, and you've got to get that education on what it is this profession is and how to do your job. Because, the money's good, but you don't want to, your first deployment, and this is the first time you've ever heard about an insurance company outside of your own, right?
Right. Okay, so kind of in with that, I've done the research. Yes, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I've done my home state license. I've done the test. I've got my license in hand now. What's my next step? Like, how do I get deployed? Do I
I was going to say that would roll right into getting deployed, after you get that license and everything. When you walk into, a vendor such as CNC, you make sure that you keep going to that training, show your face, make connections, talk to everybody. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, hey, I remember that guy William, or hey, I remember that guy Derrick. Yeah. Let's give these guys an opportunity. And that's pretty much what happened with us. We came in, we made sure we did our training. I mean, we didn't have any license. Well, I think he might have had his license at the time. Yeah. I just got my license for the state of Alabama at the time, but I mean, it was just that one license. But either way, we came in, every time there was something offered, as far as Xactimate or just a regular old, just a Adjuster 101 training, we were there. And we made sure that we showed our progress, from one training session to the next. And it was just like, okay, well, we're going to give these guys an opportunity. And when we got that opportunity, we went out there and we did a great job.
Right.
Yeah. And again, if I can just say, remind everyone, this is an investment. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of free days for you when you coming in and you're training and it's on your time. But the important thing is to remember that this is this is for you. It's for nobody else but for you. So there were plenty of times I was coming down here for like 2 months just doing trainings and everything for free. Week-long trainings. I'm driving like an hour and a half, coming down to trainings and everything. But you have to want it. You have to, it has to be what you want to do because a lot of it is going to be on you, on your plate. So you have to be self-driven and, like Will was saying, once you get down here and you show people that, hey, this is what you want to do and, you're committed, then you'll get that opportunity without a doubt.
So you feel like taking the time to come to the trainings, even if you had a little bit of information about adjusting, making the trip down here was beneficial to you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Learned.
Without a doubt, yeah.
And so even moving forward now that you've worked claims in the field, if they offer additional training, do you think that's something you would still continue to do?
Absolutely.
You
still have to get CEs, continuous education. Is that what they call it? I'm not sure if that's the acronym here, but either way, you have to keep doing that so you can keep your licenses up. So I wouldn't stop training for anything.
Even in some of the trainings that we were going to, they had some veteran adjusters in there that just wanted to brush up on their education too, because a lot of times when you get deployed or you got a little bit of experience and you handle daily claims, you kind of get used to a certain type of claim, and so whenever you come in for training, you get a chance to kind of see what's new in the industry, and as well kind of get exposed to other claims as well.
Right. So. You did your license, you do the training, you're all set at this point, you're just kind of waiting on a storm to hit, right?
That's right.
So do you call, the firm, like, hey, I'm available? Do you kind of just wait, it's a waiting game, when you see a storm's kind of on the horizon?
Yeah.
How do I make sure that deployment knows that I'm ready to go?
Right. It's a little bit of both. If you have the ability to come, to a location like CNC and just kind of show your face and just chat up everybody and, let them know, hey, this is really what I want to do. That'll definitely get your name recognizable on the list. It may not get you at the top because, you don't have no experience yet, but
build the rapport with them, right?
Build the rapport. Yeah. Because, it's just like any other job. My mom always told me, if you want a job, you fill out the application, then you go and you show your face. You let them know, hey, this is who I am. Put a name with, or put a face with a name. Yeah. And it's the same within this industry. Yeah.
Right. So when you get the call for deployment, how does that kind of work? What can someone expect? The call and say, hey, I got an assignment. Is it just kind of a whirlwind from there? I mean,
All right.
it's a whirlwind, right?
So what's going to happen is you're going to be at home with your wife or your mom or whoever you live with, or you're going to be at home with your cat or your dog, watching TV, eating ice cream, and then you're going to get a phone call, and they're going to be like, I need you somewhere tomorrow or within 48 hours. And then at that point, you have to be like,
you got to drop everything and go.
You got to drop everything and go. Like my first opportunity, I don't know if I told you this, my first opportunity, my son hadn't been born yet, right? My son was due to be born in like 2 weeks. And then I got my first deployment opportunity. And I was like, oh my God. I looked at my fiance. I was like, yeah, no, maybe.
Always got to check with the wife or fiance first, right?
You have to check. But at the same time, I was like, I cannot miss the birth of my child. And that's one of the things where you just have to be like, all right, if this is for me, it'll come back around. And then that's when CNC gave me an opportunity a couple months later. So
it came back around.
yeah,
That's good.
but that's how fast and that's how quick the opportunity can come. And you have to be able to say yes.
When they call.
When they call, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
No, let me get back to you. Let me put in a 2
Yeah,
week
you
notice.
don't want to
Yeah,
say
no.
let me get back
No,
to
no,
you because
no.
you're going to go to the bottom of a list of maybe 1,000 other adjusters.
Yep.
So it's kind of like just say yes. And to be honest, that's exactly what I did when I got my call. I just said yes. It was that simple.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yes,
also
and figure it out later.
yeah. But also, I mean, I didn't really necessarily have anything else to consider. So I mean, that's something else. That's a very big factor. What he just mentioned. If you have a fiance or if you have a child or anything like that. Consider that before you hop into this because it's not just well actually I mean for me it's just yes I can go but maybe it might not be that easy for somebody else who's trying to hop in
So that work-life balance comes into play when a deployment comes up. You know, is it
majorly
because really and truly you don't know how long you're going to be out there.
right
That's
right.
yeah and then just to roll into that when you're working you are working because I mean some of these deployments can last 7 months or something like that. Let's say that you're from Texas and you get sent to Chicago. You're up there and, you're working. You're probably not going to be able to go back to Texas and, just see your family and hang out. If anything, they're going to have to come to you. So, just understand.
Ain't no 9 to 5.
Yeah, right.
Ain't
It's
no
not.
9 to 5.
8 to 8 or 12 to 12, whatever. I mean, you're going to be working longer than 12 hours sometimes, just catching up and staying on top of your claims. But either way, just understand when you're working. But when you're free, you're free. You can enjoy yourself because, if you work 7 months, at the rate of pay, whatever it may be, you're going to be looking like, oh, wow, I've got these next, couple of months to myself and I can do all of this. But at the same time, don't spend all your money because you don't know when the next opportunity may come. So,
yeah.
Right.
So, if I can just add on to that, as a new adjuster, once you checked off all the boxes in that 1, 2, 3, now I'm ready to deploy. You still got some preparation you've got to do. Just financially. You got to make sure if you're gonna be leaving your home for an unknown amount of time. You got to make sure that your home is going to get taken care of. Your bill's still going to get paid. That grass still going to be growing. So you got to make sure everything is everything. If you got pets, who's going to take care of your pets? If you got kids, who's going to take care of your kids? All of those things, that when you get that opportunity, you don't want to just be thinking about, when somebody calls like, oh, wait, I've got this going on. I've got to do, So you want to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row and everything kind of in your life kind of situated in a way that can support you being out on the road for months at a time.
I say make sure your vehicle can even make it because, if you're going from Texas to Chicago, you're not flying, you're driving. You're driving. Yeah. So it's like, you don't want to be driving all the way up there and all of a sudden, you're what is it called? A U-joint, because that's actually something that almost happened to me. My U-joints were bad on my truck, and I didn't even realize it. I drove all the way up to Pennsylvania, and, I mean, I'm switching gears, and I'm hearing this I didn't know what it was.
Just turn the radio up a little
bit.
Right.
Like, oh, God. But fortunately, I mean, my truck didn't break down or anything like that. But, let's just say that it did break down, and I'm in the middle of Virginia. It's just kind of like, oh my God, what do I do? So you want to make sure you have all that stuff, just ready to roll.
Hey, Will, what about the AC?
Oh man, let me tell you, man, I bought my truck. It didn't have AC or anything. And I mean, see, again, I just kind of hopped into this. I wasn't ready. I didn't have the tools. I mean, I needed a truck. I needed a truck. So fortunately, I just had a little bit of money saved up. I walked into a dealership, bought a truck. the truck was fine, as far as moving and rolling and everything, but it didn't have AC. Man, I drove all the way up to Pennsylvania with no AC in my truck.
Like 14 hours of driving,
14
man.
hours
No
driving
AC
with no AC in the middle of the summer.
I was like, in the summer.
Yeah,
in the
And
middle
that's
of the
coastal
summer.
all the way with humidity.
Yeah,
I just felt so bad for him.
I did too.
but no, hey, I made it work. It work.
He didn't complain out one time. He didn't complain out one time.
Out
We
loud.
trailed
He didn't
each
complain
other.
out loud.
Yeah, he didn't complain out loud.
But yeah, either way, yeah, make sure you have everything that you need.
So when you're looking into going into this, it's safe to say, as soon as you decide this is what you're going to do, already have a plan of action in place.
Yeah.
You may not need it for 6 months, but just know that, okay,
Right.
this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then now as closer it gets to storm season, hurricane season, hail season, start doing maintenance on your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes adjusters don't really fully understand what is needed on the road because we have, I've heard from adjusters they're going to fly to deployment. Tell me why that is not a good idea.
Okay, first of all, how's your ladder going to get there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What? You can't put a ladder
Yeah.
on a plane.
What are you going to do about that? And then
What
you're
if
gonna
I want to rent a car when I'm there and go buy a ladder?
Well, see, here's the thing, right? You're just beginning. You're broke. You ain't got no money. The whole mission is to get money, right?
Right.
So
And then let's say that you damage that rental car, with that ladder. How are you gonna, set up that 32-foot ladder on top of your truck? You're gonna be skidding the top of your truck or whatever. You can't put ladder racks on a rental.
right. And
So
look,
how are you gonna
I do
carry
you
it?
one better. As an independent adjuster, you work for yourself. Your job is to minimize costs.
Yes.
So your rental is going to cut into your paycheck.
Yep.
Your hotel fee is going to cut into your paycheck. You got to eat. You got to put gas in your car. So now you're just working to live in another state for a couple months. That's
Right.
it. That's all you're doing. So you got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you said you didn't have anything, but you went out. Did you kind of do the same thing as like when you got your deployment? Did they tell you, hey, you need to have this, this, and this, or did you, from your research, you did?
Yeah, because we want to be good adjusters. The research that I did, it was like hey, the top things that you're gonna need is probably gonna be a tape measure, right? Because we gotta get measurements of things, a camera, a ladder, a decent length ladder. I literally went on my deployment in my Dodge Charger, right? So I was like, okay, well, I'm not putting a ladder rack on this, so I need a foldable ladder. So we got a foldable ladder. You need something to carry all your equipment on, so I got one of the bully bags, the little adjuster bags that you can put on your side and everything. And chalk. I heard chalk was a big deal, so I got chalk. Amazon was my best friend that month spread. I was spending money like crazy.
Right.
So yeah.
So you say you had a car which shows that they do have, the means to get a ladder, a foldable.
Absolutely.
You can do it. You don't have to go out and purchase a truck.
Right.
No, you don't.
Right.
Now I will say this. I did do a little bit of adjusting out of my car. I had to, get my truck maintained and everything. It can be done. It can be done with a car, but think about it. Let's say that you do pull up to a house and, the access to the roof is 30 feet in the air. That 24-footer is not going to cut it. So, there are going to be situations where, you will need that bigger ladder. What are you going to keep it on? You
Definitely going to be limited.
Yeah, right. You can't put a ladder rack on a Toyota Camry or an Avalon or whatever.
Yeah. Or you can, but it's going to be very dangerous.
Yeah,
I would not recommend.
Right. It'd be dangerous, and even if you did find some other kind of way to sit your ladder on top of a car like that, just the positioning of the ladder. If you're riding in traffic in the city, it's
just not a good
gonna
idea.
go too well. So.
I can tell you if Hannah had to do that, a window would be busted out somewhere or a car behind me.
Oh yeah, we definitely taking out everything on that turn out of that parking lot. Yeah, we taking it out.
Yeah.
Stop signs laying down.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I personally would say that it's better to have a truck than a car. But again, you can make it work, and I do believe that you can actually look at the deployment opportunity, because I think like some of these deployments, if you accept it, it'll say, okay, this is mainly for 1-story, not steep. And then you have your other deployment types that are for 2-story, steep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would say if you happen to get a deployment in the South, you may be all right to use a car and everything. But if you're going up north, you're probably going to need to.
But
to
basically,
get a 2-story
just
ladder.
make sure the tools you have, excuse me, the equipment you have are going to fit nicely without
That's right. Yeah.
or with ease. your vehicle.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, you are an adjuster. You're a professional. You know, the expectation is that you've got all the tools that you need to get a job done. So, you know, you can squeeze by your first deployment and kind of lean on people, but after your first deployment, you're gonna want to need to upgrade and get your own equipment.
So you said, you know, you work for yourself pretty much, or independent adjuster,
right?
Typically on a component or fee schedule,
right? Yeah.
So I want to know, how am I getting paid?
Right.
How does a fee a fee schedule? You know,
Right,
what
yeah.
is that?
Okay. So basically, honestly, starting out, you want to shoot for something that's hourly, right? Because you don't know what you're doing yet, and so that kind of gives you some paid training time. But what a component is basically like, it's very similar to a commission type pay.
Okay.
And so that there's these different thresholds for an estimate that you can get paid on. So, you know, from $0 to $2,500, you get X amount of dollars. $2,500 to whatever, you get more. And even, you know, on claims where you know there is no damage, you get like a set fee. I see a lot of you know, seasoned adjusters would much rather prefer that, because as you get more efficient with closing claims, you know, that's more money you can make potentially. So commission pay should be your goal after, you know, your first year or two, getting your experience, if you really want to make some real money.
Right, but there are perks with the hourly or daily rate.
Absolutely, absolutely
as well.
Yeah.
And you know, to be completely honest, again, like you was just saying, I would definitely prefer to have you know, commission pay or fee schedule, because, you know, in very simple terms, what it is basically just, you know, a percentage of the estimate that you write. And, you know, like you said, you have your different thresholds. So, for example, like, let's say that you go out and you write a $100,000 estimate. You're going to get paid, you know, I mean, I don't have a fee schedule in front of me, but just let's throw out a number just to make, you know, some kind of example. You know, let's just say you get paid, 4% off of what I'd guess, say that estimate. So 4% of 100,000, do the math. You get paid that just off of that one house that you just did. Now, let's say you do 2 or 3 houses in a day. All right. Now, let's go ahead and say that you do 10 houses in a week. You see how much money you just made in that week, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can make a lot of money, but the main thing is to know that is a graduation step, right?
Yeah.
Once you graduate from being, you know, a newbie adjuster, that's what you want to aim for, because you don't close a claim, you don't get paid,
yeah, I was
right?
just gonna say, if you don't close the claim, you don't get paid.
You don't get paid.
You got to be able to know how to do it.
Yeah, and closing a claim sounds simple, but it's not, because, you know, if your file you send up is getting reviewed, and, you know, you're not knowing what you're doing, and, you know, things of that nature, you don't know how the firm wants the, you know, your estimate written and everything. Well, that's delaying, you know, you getting paid. And if you're trying to run 3 or 4 claims a day, or 2 or 3 claims a day, you can get behind really quick. And that's another thing too, man. You know, when we first got deployed out in Louisiana, essentially when you're new, you're already behind, right? So when you get there, and this just so people kind of can understand kind of what you're gonna see when you get deployed. When you get there, you know, you still have to go through an orientation, right? And then after you go through your orientation, you may get dropped like 20-something claims.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the expectation
off
the bat,
time management should be a strength that you have.
If you don't have time management, you're gonna know, because you're gonna go home. You're gonna go home quick. But you know, you're gonna get dropped 20 claims, and you're expected to make contact with all 20 of those people, you know, same day, and get schedules, you know, and everything set up. And, you know, if you're not on top of your time management, and if you're not on top of just having everything organized, there's no way you're gonna be running component pay,
right?
And making any kind of money.
And not even just that, you know, you have to know how to use the system. You know, that was something that a lot of people were struggling with, just learning how to use, you know, whatever software you're working with when you go out there on that deployment. Let's see, because I mean, it's not necessarily just as easy as you think. Let me just go ahead and pick up the phone and call this insured. No, you actually have to go through that system. You have to, you know, find the contact information. You know, you may have to send some kind of message to let the person know that you're calling first. You know,
right? Yeah, it's a lot to it. It's a lot more. So, you know, if we stay on our track of kind of how to become an adjuster type deal, the training that you do beforehand, whether it's, you know, sketching a house, knowing what to measure, identifying, the different components of a house. All of that is just your foundational knowledge that you have to build before you even get out there, right?
Yep.
And that's just what it is. But when you get out there, that's when you really learn how to be an adjuster.
A real world.
A real world adjuster, yeah. Because I was like, man, we did all this training, but I'm lost right now. What's going on?
A classroom is a setting, perfect setting, and then you get in the real world, and
it never goes.
Everything goes out of
right.
your head. That what did I do in class? That's how I would be.
Yeah. And that's what happened to me. My first house. I walked out there. A tree had fallen on somebody's porch, completely just leveled it. It had crazy structural damage and everything like that. I didn't even know where to start. All of that training that I had done 2-3 months, whatever, it was just kind of like, oh my goodness. I was a little bit overwhelmed. But, fortunately, I had some field support. And either way, even when you do get overwhelmed, it's just kind of like, all right, just stop, breathe, and think about, what I was doing for the past 2-3 months. Just kind of slow down and assess the situation and go from there.